when God shows you the what, he doesn't necessarily show you the steps of the how it would happen. Hi, Team Resolute Christians. It is that time. It is that time. Glory be to God. It's day 2 of Achieving Your God Called Purpose Challenge. It is day 2. What a wonderful start day 1 was. I was already seeing the testimonies coming in. And again, if you are tuning into day 2, do drop the fire emojis. And let's get into day 2. And again, if you haven't seen day 1 yet, I do strongly advise that you go and have a look at day 1, where we looked at resetting your mind. It all begins in your mind. You have to reset your mind, change ideologies that no longer serve you, ideologies that can't take you from where you are now to where God has called you to be. And so today we're going to look at focusing on the what and not necessarily the how. Now, what does that mean about focusing on the what and not the how? Because that makes no sense to some, right? Some would say, well, that's wishful thinking. And I completely understand why you would think that and why you may feel like that, because I too am a very analytical person. Some of you know that I operated in the legal field and I work in organizational development. So I'm very analytical, very practical. I like doing things in a methodical way. I like to plan, strategize, the good stuff. So for me to say focusing on the what and not the how, you may feel like it doesn't make any sense. But focusing on the how, more so on the what, is what keeps certain people in a specific realm and stops them from moving to the next realm. And I'll speak a bit more closer on what I mean by that. Focusing on the what and not the how is a principle. And it's a principle that God actually instructs us by, which is very interesting and very difficult for people who were like me in a professional sense, who perhaps, like to plan out things. Oh, I love a planner. Give me a pen and a paper and I'll write down a strategy for you right now. I will plan out exactly what steps needed to do to achieve this. I love a good plan. But when you walk with God and you walk in your God-given purpose, God wants you to focus on the what and not necessarily the how. When God spoke to Abraham, he said, look, as far as you can see, this is the amount of descendants that you will have. Now, Abraham looked at himself and said, well, how is that possible? The how. He's looking at the how. How is this possible? I am this old. My wife is this old. That's not possible, is it? But God said, focus on the what. See the what and believe me. Believe me. Similar, another one, Moses. Moses saw, Moses looked at himself like a murderer because he had killed someone. He ran away. He's finding out that he's not from the family that he thought he was off from. And he ran away to a different life and a different reality. And so God comes to him and tells him, go and let my people go. Go and take my people out of captivity into the promised land that I have sent them. And Moses is thinking, well, how? He started making excuses. He said, I'm a stammerer. I don't speak well. You asking me to go back to the land that I just ran away from because I just killed someone? I can never go there again. But God said, no, this is what. And Moses ought to not fully focus on the how, but on the what. This is what God has called me to do. The what. And when God shows you the what, he doesn't necessarily show you the steps of the how it would happen. He gives you the end picture, and how it will happen is in his hands. What matters is that you walk according to his will and trust him that the what will be established. Another one, Mary, an angel came saying to her, you will carry the Son of God. And imagine Mary is a virgin. what's amazing about God is that when he shows you the picture that he has for you, in one way that you definitely know that it is God, it seems so big. God's will for your life is massive. It seems so big, it seems so far out of reach. And if you were able to calculate the how for yourself, if you can do that for yourself, that means it may not be from God, because the what God calls us to often appears to be like a mountain that's unachievable. And that's how he shows himself as God in your life. That when it comes and becomes established, you will not be able to deny but say, this was only done but through God. It was only done through God, okay? And so I want you to start focusing on the what. What has God called you to do? And if you don't know the answer yet, I want you to take some time in meditation, reflecting, and prayer, asking God sincerely. And God has different ways of speaking to us. Some he speaks through dreams, some receive visions, some have a perceiving in the spirit that this is what God has called me to do. This is what he wants me to do. And so once you have that, you should focus on the what and start walking in it. Start walking in it. Start positioning yourself. And that is something we will look at tomorrow, positioning yourself. But at this point, we're looking at the what. You have, through our episode of yesterday, day 1, you have reset your mindset to understand that the impossible can be possible, that the limitations that we place on ourselves, we cannot place that limitation on God. Just because we think it's impossible doesn't mean it is impossible for God. Well, the Bible actually says nothing is impossible for God. And especially if it is his will, he has made every provision for it to be established. So once you have established your calling, start visualizing yourself as that. You cannot become what you do not see. The creation power. The creation power. See yourself in that position. If it is you seeing yourself traveling the world to make impact, see yourself in that plane. And not just say it, but how does that plane feel like? How does the plane sound like? What is the feeling that I'm feeling? You are utilizing the creation power through your imagination, and you are manifesting that which God has called you to do. And I know sometimes people see this as, I think I saw a comment yesterday about a new age. A lot of the spiritual truths that are in the word are stolen from us. And so meditation and manifesting the creation power that God has rightfully given us in his authority, New Ageism has taken that through different spirits, and those different spirits are not godly spirits, but it is an inheritance that we have as the children of God also. And so when I say manifest, and when I say envision, when I say meditate, this is all under the guidance of the Spirit of God and not any other spirit. This is a right that we have. This is an attribute that we have. And unfortunately, the enemy likes to steal and to corrupt and duplicate. That's just what he does. He duplicates everything that God has provisioned us. He duplicates and he corrupts. And so again, I will leave you with a challenge. I will leave you with a task. Number 1, write down what God has called you to do. And number 2, manifest it. How does it feel like? How does it smell like? How does it taste like? What is it like? And what does that version of you do? That version of you, what kind of friends does that version of you have? At what time does that version of you wake up? What kind of foods does that version of you eat? What kind of habits does that version of you have? Start visualizing it, and then you will start walking in it. And so as I leave these nuggets with you, we are going to look at positioning yourself to achieving your God-given purpose. And so if you haven't seen day 1 yet, you have to start off with day 1. And as you've now finished day 2, day 3 is coming, or may already be up. If it is, do have a look here. And I want to hear your testimonies in the comment section. See you then.